Yo, what's good, everyone? Your boy Deke. I'm here with Courtney Stephen, professional athlete up in the CFL, and then also wealth expert, self improvement expert, I guess you could say too. I can't remember how much, or even going back when I got connected with you. Do you remember it all? Because I've been
Honestly,
following you
dude,
for a minute. Whenever I
that's
first
what
started my account, you posted something. I liked it. I commented or something like that. I think we just started following each other. But then some of the shit you've been doing over the past year or so has definitely got my attention. It's like he's putting out awesome content.
I appreciate it, man. And like saying to you, I feel like that's how social media was intended to be used, like to actually be social, meet people with common interests and, get connected with their story and stuff. I feel like that's how we connected. And that's why we forget when it was, is because we was actually using social media for social purposes.
No,
But
exactly.
yeah, man. But no, it's been fun, like just having downtime with the pandemic and whatever, and not playing ball. It gave me so much time to dive into like my other interests because, sports take a lot out of your life. Like since the time I was 8 years old, I've been doing football damn near full time. So this is like the first time I really got to sit down and put that same amount of effort into something else. It's been really cool.
For sure. Could you give me some type of backstory though, just maybe as a little bit of foundation for this? So you're in the CFL. You've been playing with the Hamilton Tiger Cats for most of your career. You left. You come back to them, right? You just signed an extension with them.
hmm
Where
Yeah.
did
So
where did this passion come into play with the money, the wealth management, and then you deciding to share it? And you could tell, I've seen some of your videos, you're passionate about it and really want to help others and teach them about it. So where did all this come into play?
yeah, man. So I guess you got to go back to really the same thing that made me want to get into football is the same thing that really propels me in the financial education. And I guess when I was really young, like football is fun, of course, but the allure of it is that you can do something that you're really good at and that's fun and provide for your family at the same time. That's kind of like the real thing about being a pro athlete. People dream about having jobs where they can literally not feel like they're going to work every day and live the life that they want. And that's why you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a astronaut, or whatever. Like nobody dreams about being somebody who just barely scrapes by, right? So on that same note, I guess like early on, my parents instilled a lot of solid financial lessons in my life. Things are just like, delaying gratification, setting goals, breaking your goals down into like little steps. Just little things that don't even really seem that groundbreaking. But then as you get older and you see what happens if you don't implement those kind of strategies, the kind of like financial ruin and it's the hard places people put themselves in. That pandemic came and basically, the cracks started to show for a lot of people. And just me myself having two young kids, I was thinking, how can I put all the stuff that I learned in a time capsule so that as they get older, they're going to be able to learn, the lessons that brought me to a point where when the pandemic hit and they're starting to say, hey, the CFL season might not happen. Like we may or may not play. So you're going to have to go out on your own and find a way to make income for your family. I personally, like, obviously I would rather play, but I wasn't stressing as much as some of my peers because I had planned ahead financially and gave myself a buffer. So I wanted to put all those lessons that allowed me to be in that position into some kind of time capsule that my kids
Sure.
could see. You know what I mean? And then other people saw it and the feedback was good. So I continued on with it. It started with a blog. The blog turned into YouTube and then social media. And now I'm here, man, doing financial education seminars at schools for teams, businesses, and just trying to spread the good word.
That's dope. And then real quick before we get into NBA Top Shot and NFT, you talk about pitfalls. Was that something you learned personally whenever you first started playing in the CFL, you first started getting money like that, or was that just from watching others and you were like, I got to get on this quick. I don't want to have any of these mistakes.
Man, I think one of the things that's talked about a lot is just that so many pro athletes go broke. Like that's people don't even have to know the numbers, but they just know that, if you're NBA, NFL, whatever, you go pro, chances are 5, 7 years after your career's over, your money is gone. People look at Mike Tyson and they see like he made like 300 mil and filed for bankruptcy with 20 mil in debt, right? So I think that's just one of those things that we all know going in. But me being the person who I am, I felt like I'm not going to be that person. You know what I mean? So I just took it extra cautiously. Now, of course, I did some stupid stuff. Like I've done bought the Gucci glasses and left them in a cab. Like, you know, just $700 cab ride, like dumb stuff. But you know, for the most part, I tried to be smart with my money because I thought about also another status. Most pro careers is 2 to 3 years, right? That's like barely one contract. So if I leave the game after 2 years, what am I going to have to show for it? So I went into it with a mindset of like, let me at least build a foundation. If it's all over tomorrow, at least let me have something to show for what I've done. So I never really had nothing terrible,
Yeah.
but of course, you know, the little stuff you're going to blow money on going to the mall and just doing more than you really thought you could, and
Yeah, you
and
need
just
that every
having
once in a
fun.
while, though, right?
You do,
You got
man,
to
because
live a
at the
little
end of the
bit.
day, you work so hard to get there. I mean, you're only going to be there for a minute. At least live for a second, but just don't extend to the point where now your whole future's in jeopardy.
I lied. I got one more question along with that. What do you think have been some of the best decisions you've made financially since joining the
Oh
league?
man, I'll say easily the top decisions that I made was clearing all of my debt ASAP as soon as I got to the league. So I only spent half of my college career on scholarship. So my last 2 years were full ride, but before that, I was paying to be at school. Now that's 1 year out of state tuition at Northern Illinois, which was like 27 G's, and then that's 2 years of tuition in Canada. So between like the money that my parents actually put up and what I had to borrow, I came out of school with like $21,000 debt. So that clearing that out to $0, big plus. The second biggest move would be buying my first car straight cash. And it wasn't like a sick car or nothing. It was like a '03 Acura TL, and I bought it in 2014. So I bought it for like $5,000 cash. And over the course of the life of the car, I drove it for like 100 clicks, like 100,000 clicks. And I probably put like another 5-7 grand into it. But not having a car payment, big money saver. And then the last one would be buying real estate, because the real estate market over the last like 7-8 years has just been crazy no matter where you live. So that investment has returned magnificent.
Yeah, is it crazy up there in Canada right now? Like even more so? That's because that's
It's
how it is back here in the States.
it's crazy, man. Like the average detached home in Toronto area is selling for like just under $1 million. So you really got to go outside of the city if you want to have, you know, like a typical like detached family home. Most people who are just getting out of college, they can't even afford to buy a house. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you're not buying pre-construction and waiting like 2 years to move into your house, you got to move way out to the suburbs or get something that's smaller than you'd like. But for those people who are able to wait that time or move into those suburbs, you know, the return on investment is handsome for sure.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into this NBA Top Shot and these NFT tokens. So, you are the reason that I learned about this. I
Nice.
seen your post on Instagram, NBA Top Shot, NFT tokens. What's the deal with these things? And then obviously I commented, I'm like, bro, what are these? And you're like, dude, this is gonna be a rabbit hole. So literally, I think that day I jumped into it. I bought like a Taco Fall card. I bought not a card, but the highlights, Lonzo Ball, Cam
Right.
Reddish, for way over what they are right now.
Oh yeah, there was a
So
super peak.
it's bad. Yeah, it was that day. I think so. Hold on, let me go back to this then. Why did this blow up randomly on that day? Because I heard it from you. What was the snowball effect?
Yeah, so like NBA Top Shot launched, it was actually in the works from 2019 when Dapper Labs, the company who put them out, actually had the licensing agreement with the NBA PA or MBPA and the NBA, right? So they were working on it for like a year. It drops in October 2020. And so really only people who were in the know or people who owned these things called Crypto Kitties, which was Dapper Labs' first project, those are like the only people who even knew this existed. And then
Okay.
like some super blockchain nerds who were like way already in the scene. So it was super underground. And then in early February, there was a whole bunch of media outlets and personalities who started talking about this at the same time. And that's what created this critical mass, right? Like, I was listening to ESPN Daily, and Pablo Torre did this story on a guy who paid $100,000 for Zion Williamson Top Shot. So I'm like, what the hell? I start looking up this stuff. Then on Monday following that, that was like a Thursday or a Friday. The Monday following that, I heard Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban started talking about them, right, on a podcast that he was on. And then like on the Tuesday, I saw Gary Vaynerchuk talking about them. Then it's CNBC, it's like all these other big media outlets start talking about it. So then obviously that draws attention to the marketplace. Now, like I was saying before, it was small. There was not a lot of people. And if you know how supply and demand works, when there's a limited supply and the demand is huge, that means that the price of something has to go up because there's only so many available for people to get. So if I'm selling and you're selling, then shoot, one of us is going to sell out. The only person left has the pricing control. So I'm going to price mine way up because I know somebody's going to buy it. And that's what happened. It spiked massively. And then it was one of those things where people who were in early are like, okay, I'm cashing out. So the price came way back down. And it was like people who bought at that moment, at that high,
Like
they're
me,
like, damn. They're like, damn. But what I will say is, I don't think NBA Top Shot is like here today, gone tomorrow. But what I think it is that there's going to be levels of like, I mean, in a regular stock market, you call it volatility, where the prices are way up and way down until they find out how to balance it. Because right now, like, it's hard to sign up for a new account because the platform has been like straight up overloaded.
What's the
Right.
reasoning
So,
on that? Is it just people that have Gmails or Google accounts? Because that's how I was able to get in.
yeah. So really, I'll take it a step back to explain like why this even exists. So there's this thing called crypto kitties, which I mentioned before, right? And it sounds like some corny thing because it is. It's like literally these, I don't know, like this is back in the 90s. They had this little thing called like a Tamagotchi, where it's like this little digital pet you keep on your keychain and like you gotta feed him and like clean up when he poos and stuff like that. But it's like this little pet. And so these crypto kitties are like kind of, sort of like these digital pets. But how it started out and what made it cool is that they live on the blockchain, right? And there's only one of each of these crypto kitties. So I think the initial batch was like 30,000 or like 50,000 or whatever. And then from there, they had to breed with each other to make new ones. So the limited edition of these crypto kitties made them more valuable to the people who wanted to collect them, right? Because if you had, you know, one that had blue eyes and blonde hair and black fur and spots, like that would be the only one that looks like that.
Okay.
Right. So people who are really into it, they found value in that. Anyhow, they were so popular. They were so popular that they actually jammed up the Ethereum network. And Ethereum is a blockchain, just like Bitcoin is its own blockchain. Like there's the Bitcoin token and there's a Bitcoin blockchain. There's an Ethereum blockchain and there's an Ether, which is like the token that's on the Ethereum blockchain. But it jammed it up. Like the blockchain was not working properly because they were trying to do so many transactions, right? So it was too popular. So anyhow, Dapper Labs, the company who created them, they said, look, we're going to create a whole another blockchain that's not Bitcoin, it's not Ethereum. It's called Flow. Okay. And it's designed specifically for trading back and forth NFTs. So now we get back to like, why is it hard for people to sign up? Well, like I said, this thing has only been launched since like October 2020. And right now we're in March. So it's coming up on 6 months. There's a lot of kinks in the system still. And that's essentially what it comes down to, is that this isn't even like, you know, just launching a new video game or something. This is something that's never been done before.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. You know, so there's a lot of kinks in the system. They have to onboard some people, let it break, fix it, and then scale it up a little bit at a time so that when, you know, the NBA is like an international brand. They got fans in China. I'm pretty sure they got like a whole league in China. Right. China got 1 billion people on its own. Then you got people who play in the NBA from all over the world. So they draw an audience from all over. Right now, there's about 500,000 users or about 400,000 users. And you can imagine how many users there would be if, even half of the NBA fans really tapped into the NBA Top
Sure.
Shot. The network wouldn't be able to handle it at this point. So they're capping the amount of people who can get in so that they don't break the system, kill the user experience, and end the project because it sucks, right? That's basically what's happening right now and why it's hard for people to get into it.
Oh, that's interesting. So, how do you view this going forward? Do you view this as potentially in a year or so we're going to be looking back and laughing on it? Or is this something when we're 70, we have some of these highlights and we're like, wow, there was some real value in this?
Man, I think there's so many layers to that question because, in one respect, like if you're a true collector, NBA fan, and you go to the games and you save the tickets, or you grew up with a picture of Michael Jordan or Vince Carter or whatever on your wall, then there's going to be an aspect of NBA Top Shot that you're going to have sentimental value holding on to. So regardless of however much people say that they're worth, like you're going to be attached to the fact that you were a part of this pilot, the first people to have digital
Sure.
highlights.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what
that's
I
a good
mean?
point. Yeah, yeah.
So for me, like a lot of it is that like I have almost all of the Raptors players that are available, not the ones that are like 20 grand, but like almost all the Raptors
Yeah.
players that are available. I got at least one of them because I'm hardcore Raptors fan. You know what I mean? But as far as like as an investment, I would say there's going to be winners and losers, but that's how the markets work, right? No matter if you're trading stocks or if you're trading NBA Top Shots, there's got to be two parties that come to a trade. And one of them is going to be a winner, and one of them, depending on the circumstance, is generally going to be a loser. You know what I mean? In most scenarios, there's not that many win-win situations. So it's a zero-sum game. Like it balances out over time. So I say that to say if Dapper Labs can figure out how to balance the platform so that there's an equal number of, I just got into Top Shot. I just want to spend $20 and collect some of my favorite characters. But at the same time, they have those highly exclusive, super rare, really limited edition ones for the people who really want to get into the investing aspect and they're able to continue to generate that interest. Then, the investing portion of that will be able to be sustainable for a long time. But more important than collecting or investing, I think what this does is it lowers the barrier to entry for people who are not big on cryptocurrency and blockchain to be able to get introduced to the world of the blockchain and see what is capable there. Because the same technology that is used for the non-fungible tokens or the digital collectibles is transferable to so many other use cases, whether that be, as an athlete. I know one thing that's really critical is, your medical records. All right. So say I move from one team to the next team, you want to be able to do your medical and them, they have to be able to validate that everything that's on your records is everything that actually happened to you, right? Because technically you're an asset to the team and they may or may not invest in an asset that's had 2 knee surgeries and maybe it's had nagging knee pain for the last 5 seasons. So he's had to get, injections in his knee to maintain. Well, are those injections a part of the record or not? Well, when you have something like a non-fungible token that is your record of health and it shows all of the, maybe prescriptions that you've taken and it shows all of the procedures you've had and it shows the MRIs that you've had and all that stuff all in one place, but at the same time is protected by the privacy and the accountability and the record of, edits that the blockchain allows you to have. That kind of technology is invaluable. And there's a lot of people who would be able to benefit from that kind of transparency and that kind of accountability. So that's really the big part of what these NFTs are. It's not even the trading cards. It's really the blockchain and how that's going to change the world. Like let me give you another example. Say, for example, you buy a diamond, right? You buy a diamond ring because you're going to propose to your girlfriend. You love her. You want to buy her a diamond ring. Where did that diamond come from, right? Now, if the diamond has a serial number inside of it, like they do now, a lot of them, you can trace that serial number back to find out where it came from. But you're going off of the word of the people who, are reading, who put that serial number on there. If it was that serial number was attached to maybe say the blockchain, for example, now it's like you can see every stop along the
Yep.
journey of where that diamond went. And even if you resold it to somebody else, you can see the previous owner right? You can see the origin of it. Even like crops, they do this now when they're shipping in, crops from places that come across the world. Some of these companies are implementing blockchain technology to trace the movement of, coffee and cocoa and all of these things that come from areas where maybe people are not being treated the greatest where they're raising these crops, right? So it's just another form of accountability and another way of tracing the historical movement of different assets across the world. It's honestly, it's groundbreaking stuff.
No, it is. Now, you use the example of an athlete's health. This all the information is on this NFT. Would the organization have to buy the NFT to unveil the information in it? Is that what you're saying there? And the athlete can actually benefit from it, or am I just completely off on that?
No, so I mean, I really did just introduce like some concepts without talking about the base technology. Like I really just went
It's
to
it's all
100.
good, bro.
I did go to 100. So check it out like this. There's first of all, the first layer is something called a blockchain, right? And that's why I said Bitcoin has a blockchain, Ethereum is a blockchain. Those are the two most popular ones. So we'll just start with that. So the blockchain, what that is basically a series of recorded events or transactions. That's all it is. It's just a series of recorded events or transactions. But what makes it valuable is that it doesn't live in one place per se. It lives on all of the different computers that are in the network. So there's, let's say, 100 computers. One computer is going to do a transaction. We're going to record data on that computer. Then the rest of the network is going to replicate exactly what's on that one computer on the rest of the 100. So then now, if you wanted to go back in time and change something, there would be one computer that has a different record and 99 that say that something has changed. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So it's basically a way of making it a little bit more secure because once a transaction is a block of data is added onto the chain, you can't go back and change it without changing the entire network. And the way that it's set up is that it's literally too expensive. You'd have to have a computer that is just so massively powerful that you would have to be equal to the strength of the whole or 51% of the whole network to override the network. So basically, once you add information to the blockchain, you can't go back and change it. So I say that to say, now let's say a company wants to have their own private blockchain. All right. It could still be on top of the Ethereum network, right? But maybe you don't have to pay for getting the NFTs because you're the ones who are creating them, right? You're creating your own players. Like me, I have my own NFT with my health records. You have your NFT with your health records. They live on the NBA blockchain. And the NBA blockchain is just a branch off of the Ethereum blockchain, right? So blockchain technology is a way of keeping track of data securely over time, but you can create your own branch off of that chain for your specific use in your business. And that's how a lot of people are doing it.
Well, dude, you're seeing right now, Patrick Mahomes, he made some of his own NFTs. He's selling them too. I think he's donating a certain portion to charity, but then Gronkowski sold a bunch of them for like 1.6 million. So that's something even outside of sports that interests me too. And this is something me and my buddies were talking about. Like, didn't like an Elon Musk tweet go for 2 million or something like that, or in the millions? We were like, what's holding us back from just taking one of Elon Musk's tweets and creating an NFT for it, and then us getting the money from it? Like, it seems like the wild wild west with some of this stuff.
No, it is. It is because some of the ways people are using them to me literally have no value. Like a group of words, like a tweet, is different than putting a book into an NFT, right? Because you can't screenshot a book or you can't copy and paste a book, you know? But yeah, people right now, they see that it's a craze and they're hopping on the wave. And if they're catching, a quick $1 million, then I don't blame them. But you got to think about it from the perspective of, say, I think Tory Lanez, the rap artist, right? He's putting out 3 unreleased songs as an NFT. So basically, what that does is now, if you are the person who has that track, maybe somebody else can get it some other way too, right? But if you have that track and it's on the blockchain, you can look at the record and see the origin and see that this is legit. this one came from Tory Lanez himself on
Got
this
you.
date.
Yep.
And so it's like the difference between the lady who shows up with the Gucci bag and the lady who shows up with the Poochie bag,
Yep.
right?
I get what you're
Like
saying.
turn it inside out and show me the stitches, right? Like, so
Me making
yeah,
an
man.
Elon Musk tweet is no value. Elon Musk making an Elon Musk tweet has value.
Right. And it's because the story attached to it, right? Like if I have a basketball and you have a basketball, they're both the same value until I tell you that this is the ball that Jordan shot in game 6 to win, like, his third championship.
You could just make it up.
Right. But now you can't make the
Yeah,
story up.
for sure. Now,
Yeah.
one of the things I really liked about what you were talking about, the collection that you have in NBA Top Shot, is that you have a bunch of Raptors players. So for me, I'm huge in the NFL, especially the Steelers. So I don't know if NFL is going to be jumping on this soon, but I could see for me really getting into it if they have Steeler highlights just for that sentimental value. Because right now with the NBA Top Shot, I jumped on it that first day, and then literally probably like 2 days afterwards, when I saw my cards start tanking, I lost a little bit of interest. But if NFL's doing it, and I think this goes back to your barrier of entry thing, where yeah, this is like my first introduction in blockchain type of stuff, and what got me was sports, NBA, because I am into NBA more so the playoffs. But Pittsburgh doesn't have a team. If they start doing NFL stuff with the Steelers, or they get into NHL with the Penguins, Pittsburgh stuff, like I want to have like a Sidney Crosby highlight, a Big Ben highlight, that AB touchdown from 2016 that won us the game. Like that'll be cool in my opinion. So it goes back to everything that you're saying right there.
Absolutely. And I know that the NFLPA does have partnership agreements with, I'm not sure if it's Dapper. I know Dapper has agreements with the UFC, Dr. Seuss, and there's other blockchain organizations or companies that are working on similar things. There's one called Wax, and they're doing a lot of stuff with like Street Fighter, Batman, and then the NFL does have somebody who they're working with. But I think right now what it is uh, you know, the people who are going out there and blazing the trail, they're taking all the arrows in their back, right? They're the ones who are eating the poison berries and, taking the risk, and they're going to, have the losses. And then once the smoke clears and there's a clear path shown of how to proceed, then that's when you're going to see the other big brands jump on this, because the NBA doesn't want to ruin their reputation with all their fans. So I don't think they're going to co-sign something that is going to do harm to their fans, right? But at the same time, I think the NFL is patiently waiting to see, okay, how does this help grow the game? Does this bring in more fans? Does this make the fans who are already there more engaged? And if they can prove that, then I know that they won't sit down on the sidelines, because the way that this thing is set up too is that there's shared royalties that go back to the NBA and NBAPA, or the NBPA. So basically, there's a thing called a smart contract, right? So when you create NFT tokens, they actually have a computer program that governs all of them, where if there's a transaction that happens, a portion of that profit or that revenue from that transaction can go back to the originator who designed it in the very first place. Even if the two parties transacting is, party B and party C, a portion of that can go back to party A who originally created it. And that's where a lot of the economics are going to be in favor of the league. It's a great way for them to have another revenue stream. After the pandemic, everybody's thinking about how can they make up for lost revenue. That's an opportunity for them to, grab something super easy that they've let a third party take care of. All they had to do was the licensing agreement. So there's very low risk if the concept is proven to be one that is like sustainable.
No, absolutely. I think there's definitely people willing to jump on this. Like for me too, the first day that I found out about this, I'm texting with my buddies, and like there's a couple people that are a little bit skeptical. They're like, "What the hell's this? I could just watch this highlight online. This thing's worthless." I was thinking this is just a form of trading cards. So it's almost capturing two audiences there. So for me, I've always thought sports cards are interesting because it is sports. But at the same time, I realize the people that are making money off of it, or collectors, they're spending way more time on this than I would be wanting to. And you have the actual physical card that you have to take care of. You have to find a space for it, make sure it doesn't get ruined. With this, it's as simple as clicking a button on your phone, and then you have this highlight. So I think it captures the imagination of the sports cards and having that nostalgia of things to do with sports, but then at the same time brings in this element of, man, this is so easy of going back and forth and transferring this too, that it has the blockchain element and just the digital currency, which I really like, which is why I think it definitely does have potential.
Yeah, and then now take it a step further. Think about augmented reality, okay, or virtual reality, but let's just say augmented reality. Right now, there's a platform called VV, right, and they do, the Batman and a couple other ones. But one of their big licensing agreements is with the Batman franchise, so you can get an NFT of a Batman action figure on your phone, and then you can open your phone and look at your living room floor and see it in 3D and walk around it and
Bro.
interact with it. So now think about this, because I sit down and I think about this all day. Now think about, you put on your Oculus headset 3D, not 3D, your augmented reality Oculus headset, and you're in the stadium for this game now watching the highlight. How about that? Wouldn't that be cool to own? But I think one of the things is that people are thinking very linearly about what is the technology that is around today and what are we currently doing today. Like, if you thought about internet in like 1997, all you could do is like send email. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like, if we're talking about NFTs and blockchain right now, you can't comprehend where we're going to take this next, because most of the jobs that are going to be created off of the blockchain technology probably don't even exist yet. Right?
True.
There is like a scarcity for like blockchain engineers. We're just now really getting the mass adoption of Bitcoin, which isn't even a cryptocurrency that people can really transact with. It's more a store of value like gold. But what about when people are going to the store and they're using, like Cardano or some other cryptocurrency to actually buy stuff, right? And what if augmented reality was something we use on a day-to-day basis, right? With like Google glasses or whatever they may be, to like look around at your world and see a digital layer on top of the
Dude.
physical real world layer. Now everybody's saying, wow, I wish I could. You want to see that RJ Barrett highlight? Well, pull it up. Let's all watch it around the campfire right now. And then all of a sudden these NFTs are a whole different ball game.
True. Now, with this type of stuff, how do you view it? Do you think there's a line to be drawn in terms of reality versus some of this digital stuff where it goes a little bit too far, almost like Matrix type of stuff?
Ah, man, I don't know. Like, it's hard because like my trainer, for example, he has this Oculus stuff. We're actually going to start it tomorrow, but he was showing me how Stephen Curry has been using basically 3D virtual training to work on like his field of vision and his peripheral and like his reaction time and stuff. And so I was trying out the Oculus before we actually did any of the training, just to see it. And when you put it on, you, after maybe 30 seconds, you forget
Dude.
what the real world is, because you're so submerged in the digital world. So I think it's important for people to remember like what real life is. But I can't see, just knowing human nature and like our hunger for more, I can't see it where we're not sitting courtside at a Lakers finals game with a headset on from the comfort of our home. I can't see how an airplane pilot is not, test flying a plane from the ground, but actually putting on a helmet and getting into the sky without risking his life. I can't see how we're not having Formula One racers who are like 12 years old going head to head for 100 grand with like 3D technology, because that's just the way that technology is moving, and that's what we love. We love seeing stuff that is like unreal
True.
brought into our homes, And I'll be one of the first people to say that, like, I'll be right there doing it, because why not? Like, in the pandemic, I spent so much time inside. I want to go somewhere else. And if I'm not able to go somewhere else, but I could put on a headset and do it, it's the next best thing.
Yeah, it's funny because the whole line being drawn, someone that's so for some of these advancements and the people that may be critical of it, that person that's for it would say, hey, listen, I mean, you're already playing video games, don't you immerse yourself into some other world by doing that? This is just a different form whenever you bring it into like 3D elements or like a holographic element. The one thing I always think of is iRobot, though. I'm always concerned about that. If we get too advanced with these robots and they take over, they get smarter than us. But that, I mean, all that shit's interesting as hell, though.
It is, though. It's a rabbit hole to fall down. And I mean, these are like the extreme concepts, but what about like there's very everyday basic stuff. Like you could get a concert ticket that's an NFT, where if I bought a ticket for $100 and now all the tickets are sold out and I want to resell it for 200, now the team will get a cut off of that resale, so they're not really losing out on some of the piracy of actually the ticket sales. There's a lot of like other ways of using this technology in everyday life. We just gotta give room for the creative people to do the creative things. But I think those who look at it and see like this is the thing are missing the point. Like this is just the beginning.
Okay. And yeah, just an element too. As long as we can use it in the right way, this could be just a pretty big benefit to life. Because like you said, dude, that would be really sick. You just pull up a highlight, you guys are hanging out, and it's almost like you're sitting down there. That would be really cool.
Yeah, for sure, man. Your collection comes alive.
For sure. Now, I think I just have one more question. Is there any final thoughts that you have about the NFT tokens and whatnot?
Man, honestly, it's more just I'm just trying to learn, right? Because it's fun for me. It's not like my job, right? And I'm not here to like endorse NBA Top Shot because if there's another one that comes out that's super cool, I'll check that one out too. But I would really just to anybody who's listening, I'll just say like before you pass judgment, like dive into it and see what it's like, and not just read the headlines, but like look into it and hear from people who like it and people who don't like it, and then make your own conclusion because the world's going to keep moving forward whether we like it or not. So you might as well understand where we're going.
No, for sure. How much time do you spend, I guess, learning about the new? Well, they just drop packs, so it's not like they drop new cards or anything. How much time do you
Mm-hmm.
allocate to the NBA Top Shot or NFT tokens on your day to day basis, or even just the percentage of money that you put into it?
Man, I really didn't put too much money into it. Like maybe like a couple $100 over time, but at the same time, it's like you can listen to a podcast and continue on doing what you're doing for your day and not really it's not really like an active thing where you're deep
Sure,
in the woods researching. Like I've read some articles for sure. I've read a lot of articles, but that's just because it's fun to me. It'd be the
one
same
hundred
amount of
percent.
time I'd be reading any other magazine or book or on YouTube. So I mean, it doesn't have to be a day job, but I personally I'm really into that stuff. So I spent a few days just going in on it. But my main source of info is really podcasts because you can do it without sacrificing the rest of your time. Can you hear my daughter crying?
Yeah, it's all good, bro. Bro, it's life. I got
Yo,
dogs and everything. I'm actually pretty surprised they're not going off right now. So it's all good.
yeah, see, before we started this, I changed her diaper. I'm like, okay, just be cool. I fed you, I changed you. What more do you need? Like, but that's how it goes. That's why I listen to podcasts because I'd be chasing babies around all day.
Definitely. All right, dude. My last question has nothing to do with any of the NFT or NBA Top Shot stuff or finances.
Got
So
you.
you played for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah, let's get it.
Was it Manziel on the team for a little bit?
He was. He was there for like 2 months, not even. But that was the first time I ever saw TMZ in real life. It was crazy.
Wait, yeah. How did this go?
Yo, to be honest, like, yo, super low key. Like, believe it or not, in real life, he show up, go to work, do his thing, and you always have to leave out the back door because everybody and their mom was coming to see him. I'm talking about we almost had sold out practices. It was like one of those things where people were just coming to try and see a glimpse of the man, the myth, the legend. But no, man, he was cool. Like he treated everybody good on the team, all that kind of stuff. He really was just trying to keep his head down, go to work. But it's tough because he has such an aura around him that
Yeah, for
like people
sure.
are all like he couldn't go to this corner and get pizza. He's in a foreign country. He's in Canada. He couldn't just walk around and just go to the keg, and a keg is like a big restaurant that we have. Like he couldn't just go there and order a steak. People mob him, So to his credit, like he just had to stay low key, man. It was headlines every week, and it was just like about little stuff that really nobody else really cared about, like Johnny throws 20 passes at practice. They're like, what is that a headline? Like, but no, man, he was cool, super low key, great athlete, cool dude.
Do you remember your reaction to it
Um,
initially?
yeah, I mean, I thought it was
Or just even just some of the news and the hype that came with it from media. Like how were you reacting to that and handling it?
Yo, to be honest, I thought it was cool because like we get a lot of guys who played in the NFL. Like I'd say 50% of the CFL is Americans, right? So a lot of guys who are in the league played. It's names that you know who you watch them growing up, and then they come down and you put like Chris Rainey, for example. It's like a guy who I watched his college highlight tapes a lot, and then I end up going head to head with the guy and like a whole bunch of other people. So man, it's cool, but it's like at the end of the day, like I played with Chad Ochocinco, like all kinds of stuff. It was like those are the moments that you sign up for, right? So it
That's
was awesome,
awesome.
man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But hey, bro, I really appreciate this interview, man. Learned a lot. It was dope. Appreciate your
yeah.
time.
Yo,
Any
I
final words, thoughts, any advice you want to give to anyone? Tell them where they
don't.
could tell the people where they could find you too. Instagram, social media, the money game on YouTube. I know that.
Yeah, the YouTube is the money game. Social media, I'm the C Stephen. But let me just say this: hey, do your own research before you go and put your life savings in anything. Just do your own research. Don't take a tip from me. Don't take a tip from no guy on the internet. Do your own research. And yeah, man, appreciate you.
Oh, no doubt, bro.
Hopefully your peeps learn something from this.
No, absolutely, bro. I appreciate it, man. Have a good rest of the day. And everyone that was tuning in, stay chilling and peace.